Hey guys, welcome to Dynamic Sketching. Today we're at the LA Arboretum. For those of you that are not in this country, you're looking around, it's a pretty cool place. If you guys have your own arboretums, I'm going to talk to you guys more about it, but keep in mind, I'm going to have you guys be going out on your own field trips. So today we're here, and I'm going to give you guys a quick tour. The point of this field trip is going to be about drawing on site. Now, for the first 5 weeks, we've been talking about prepping, doing simple shapes and forms, texture. Now we're going to start to apply it. This is a pretty simple introduction. These are plants. They won't be moving around. They're going to stay still so you can take the time to sketch and observe your object. So from here, I'm going to take a walk around, introduce you some of the plants that I enjoy drawing. I'll show you guys how to approach it with simple forms and shapes, show you how we actually take these forms that we've been working on and translate them into actual plants that we'll see today. We're going to tackle many different kinds of plants, cactuses, aloe, some that are more bushy than others, and I'll show you guys how to handle more complex and detailed plants, whereas some of the more simplistic shape-driven plants will be easier for you guys to handle. Things like landscapes and trees, you guys shouldn't worry too much about. We're just going to handle individual plants, so just so that you guys don't get intimidated with some of the things you'll be seeing, because drawing trees can be quite intimidating because there's so much detail. A lot of people tend to just sit there and draw every single leaf, but that's not the point. Remember, this is a quick drawing, quick sketching, visual communication class. So it's all about seeing, learning how to break things down in your head first, and then putting it down on paper. So, all right, let's go. Okay, you guys, so we're going to tackle a cactus over here. Cactuses are very, very easy to draw, so I recommend you guys attempt to do some of these kind of plants first, mainly because their shapes are just so simplistic and easy to break down. The only complicated parts will be some of the surface areas where they have a lot of the thorns, some of the texturing. But again, you're going to look past all that. You're going to look past all the detail. You don't want to look at any of the surface quality just yet. You're only looking at form, the overall shapes that those plants are making. So the one I'm looking at right now is called the purple prickly pear. It's up here, a lot of simplistic flat shapes using a lot of ellipses. So the plants are kind of big, but I'm going to section out parts of it that are more in the foreground area, and that's what I'm going to focus on. I'll start with a marker. I suggest you guys start with a marker as well so that you guys can get comfortable with drawing with the pen too. Eventually you'll be able to go directly into the pen after. So let's just start right here. Start out with some of the major shapes. And again, I'm just building it with form. Remember those 5 shapes that we had. And the one we're going to use is the ellipse. And just keep breaking it down. The initial laying is key and most important. And you'll find that when we go to the other but when you go to other locations that require more complex shapes, you're going to need to be a little bit faster with your initial lay-in, and that's going to be the most important part. I'm just going to build these forms up, continue to go on. I'm going to continue to build out with the surrounding shapes that are next to it, but again, I'm going to find the focal point, an area of interest within the drawing, and a focal point is extremely important because you want to basically lead the eye of the viewer, and you want to make sure you know where people want to look first. And of course, that's where you put a lot of your detail and attention and texture, shadow, all that stuff. Now, on-site location drawing is going to be tough. If you guys do not have access to an arboretum or any kind of plant outdoors, if it's you just don't have access to it, I mean, go online, find images. And that's okay to work from, but I do highly suggest just go in your backyard, look for simplistic plants, and just start from there. Okay, going directly now to the pen, I built it out with the marker, and I'm going to focus in on the foreground elements, and I'm going to reinforce a drawing that I had done with the marker with the pen. You will get frustrated. On-site location drawing is going to be difficult because one, the element, you're outside, you might be in an uncomfortable position, you might not be able to sit, you might have to stand and hold your sketchbook. So again, it's going to take a lot of discipline and a lot of focus. And the thing is that when you're drawing on location and you're drawing, let's say, like this plant in front of you, and you mess up, it's okay, don't worry about it. Stop, draw it over again right next to it. Remember the mistakes that you made the first time. Take note of it, write it down in your sketchbook. Okay, this is what I did wrong. Readjust, learn from your mistakes. It's the only way you're going to learn, is to mess up, move on. All right. Now the background elements, I'm just going to leave alone. Use that only as marker. Switch to a thicker pen here. Now that I've got the overall shapes, I'm going to focus on a little bit of the details. And where they apply, add your contours. Keep pushing, keep pushing. Quick drawing technique. Stay on a drawing too long. Ideally, I'm just drawing big for you guys so you can see fairly well. But ideally, when you guys start out, I want you guys to start with thumbnail drawings. And I'm talking small thumbnail, 2-inch drawings. Because if you start large, you're going to focus in on the small details. When you start to focus on the details, you're going to spend a long time drawing that one sketch. So start small. I'm talking very, very small. Let's get some of the thorns in here. Again, just the overall shapes. Now people are going to ask, one of the big questions is, when am I done? When do I know I'm finished? When you ask yourself that question, you're done. Stop. Move on to another drawing. And the thing is with this particular style of drawing is that you have to learn to move on constantly. Some of you out there might be detail oriented. You guys are just, just into the whole rendering, spending hours upon hours on a single drawing and just making it really pretty. This class is not about making your images, pretty pictures and sketches. This is quick observational drawing and sketching, learning how to put down that information. So draw through. Hit some of the shadows in here. Look for cast shadows. I'm in the shade right now, so I can't see too much of them. A lot of this is in shade. But these buds have a lot of color in them, a bit dark, so I'm going to hit some of that at the top. Gradate down. My focal area is in this portion right here. So anything beyond that, I'll probably just keep within, keep all the details within that. The one in the back, I'm going to start shade out in here so that it drops back. A little bit of detail in this one as well. Again, this is where the cross hatching is going to come in handy. It's a cast shadow here. And gradation. And I usually start from the top, work my way down, and then I gradate. And remember, your contours are your guidelines. So follow the direction of your contours when you come to shade. And texturing too. I'm gonna drop these back. Don't be afraid to go dark. A lot of people tend to be really light with their shading or with their ink work because, you know, again, you are afraid to mess up. Go dark, real heavy. Now, when you're out here and you guys are going to start to do your homework, if you have access to a place like this, like an arboretum, all of the plants are labeled with the scientific names, everything. Write that stuff down. These are called call-outs. And this class is not only a sketching class, it's almost like a journal science class where you have to, it's building a visual vocabulary. So you want to know more than just what the shapes are. You want to know the names, what family it comes from. Not only that, your own personal observations of what you're seeing, just your thoughts. Note taking is going to be very, very important. For one, if you're taking notes, even if it's not about the thing you're drawing, maybe just a random thought or an idea, write it down in your book right next to it. Maybe you'll have an interesting idea, you come back to it later on, you say, oh, okay, it'll give you a memory or something that'll take you back and say, okay, this is what I was thinking at that time, and it might help you. Lightly shade this one. And I'm going to come back with the marker on this one because it is all in shade and I don't want to overdo it with the cross hatching. And that's where you're going to have to learn personally, just by mileage and just doing it over and over again, how much cross hatching and texture you apply. Sometimes it'll just kill it because you overdo it. So again, mileage, practice. Come back here with the marker, some of these darks, shade, drop this one down. Now I'm using a 50% marker here. I suggest you guys use a bit lighter, maybe a 30%, 20. I'm going to bring in some of the highlight, the white, stuff that I showed you from the week before.